On today's episode of Unsolved Mysteries, we take a look at the loss of innocence and a disturbing peek into what is commonly known as a gamer. The year 1994. The subject, an unsuspecting 5-year-old boy, John Beecham, is about to be asked to come over to a friend's house. But for what, you may ask? Little did he know that that playdate would change the way he views the world forever.
What took you so long? We gotta get downstairs. My brother's got something that's gonna blow your freaking mind.
Here, why are you going so fast?
John proceeds to the lower level of the domicile, where the family computer has been suspiciously tucked away into the corner. Many questions remain. Why is John playing such an evil video game? Where did the game come from? Why are 30-year-olds acting like 5-year-olds in our reenactment? Answers to these questions and many more when Unsolved Mysteries returns.
Hello and welcome back to SAHD, and this is my part 2 of my 10 favorite video games of all time. So if you haven't watched part 1, go ahead, head back, watch that, and then come back, and then we're going to talk about the moment where men are made, children are born, and one of the best video games of all times literally changed the landscape of gaming ever since its creation. My number 1 pick for my favorite video game of all time, hands down, is Doom. Yes, this beautiful creation was released in 1993, and it was made by just a handful of young video game wizards that wanted to push video games to where they had never been before. And it was the first time the world had been told to go to hell, and we loved every freaking second of it. Considered the daddy of first-person shooters, Doom was the first time I had seen any form of 3D in a video game, and the very first time I played an FPS. I wasn't the only one that was stricken by the bloody ballet that is Doom. It was so popular that business buildings had to start adding a sort of virus that would delete anything titled Doom from their computers, so people would stop playing each other in deathmatch and actually get back to work. There are countless stories like this, and you should check out Masters of Doom if you want even more of those kinds of stories, because this incredible book is all about the making of Doom and the amazing people behind its creation. But let's dig into the meat and potatoes of this. Why is Doom my favorite video game of all time? Well, it's quite simple, really, because it rocks! You're a Marine that is stuck on the Martian moon base, Phobos, and you are all alone. There are little bits of story peppered here and there between episodes, telling the tale of Doom Guy's story. But, as the famed creator John Carmack said, story in a game is like story in a porn movie. It's expected to be there, but it's not all that important. Wait, what? What the hell does that mean? Of course story's important. That's why, like, all of the games in my top 10 list are even in my top 10 list. Okay, except for, like, 3 of them. But, really, I just like saying this quote because it's a classic, and what I think he's trying to say is look at this freaking gameplay! Look at it! Doom is one of the best handling games ever. Maybe not when it was made, but with the constant updates that happen to it through the community, you can now play Doom however the hell you want to play. From keyboard only, to keyboard and mouse, to a controller. And the reason the control is so important? Because Doom demands you be at your pinnacle. This isn't a game that lets you just shoot something and then sit back. No. You have to be actively moving. If you aren't running, gunning, and dodging everything that you can, you will most certainly die. And that's one of the main reasons why I look at Doom as a game that can test a player's skill. If you can't get good in Doom, ooh, maybe video games just, aren't your thing. Plus, the look of this game will never get old. The sprite work is done so beautifully that at the least, this game is going to look retro in the best of ways. And the fact that there are almost limitless add-ons for Doom, ranging from music packs to all new games like Sonic Robo Blast 2. Then there are updates to the game itself, like Brutal Doom or Project Brutality. Keep this game young. It takes the tried and true formula of Doom and adds new elements to keep everything about it fresh and totally worth revisiting every couple of months. But really, I think it's just the sense of being an uncontrolled badass that makes me come back again and again. Doom is basically a power trip. Being the one human against the demon horde of hell is just the perfect amount of creepy, fun, and empowering that just makes this pure entertainment. All in all, this is an amazing game built perfectly that requires skill, has smooth, buttery controls, has a look to it that is badass and will never get old, has freaking fun enemies to fight, and it has enough lore that if you want to, you could dig in, but there's not so much crap that you will never be able to read all of it. And lastly, it's the start of a franchise that to date has yet to disappoint me. Literally every single Doom game I have ever played, from the original PC games to the mobile games to the newest PS4 game, I've loved all of them. For real, people! There's Doom, Doom 2, Final Doom, Doom 64, Doom RPG 1 and 2, Doom 3, Doom 2016, Doom VFR, and hopefully Doom Eternal is just as good.
They are no longer your people to save.
I have played these games so many times, and every single time I dive back into Doom, no matter which version I'm playing, I feel like I'm a badass that can't be freaking stopped. And, as I promised, I have new content to review inside of Doom. Yes, this 1993 classic is still cranking out awesome stuff, and I present to you SIGIL. It is an unofficial episode 5 meant to take place between Doom and Doom 2. But SIGIL wasn't just something made by a random artist. No, sir. It was made by John Romero. Who's John Romero, you ask? Well, he's only one of the people who created the masterpieces like Doom, Commander Keen, Wolfenstein, Quake, and a lot more. Of course, it wasn't just him who made all of these games by himself, but he was certainly a major part of that group. SIGIL. It has 9 single-player maps and 9 multiplayer maps, which I could not find anybody actually playing the SIGIL maps. Right? It was weird. I tried, but I couldn't find anybody to play with, and since it's multiplayer, couldn't kind of play it by myself. So I'm just going to be focusing entirely on the 9 single-player maps. Let's dive into this bad boy. Well, to start with, it's Doom, not Doom 2. So, there are less enemies and no super shotgun, but it's all good. We don't need those things to have fun. The first thing I'm noticing here is the levels feel different than the original Doom levels. It's a little hard to explain unless you've played the original Doom levels repeatedly. The original Doom levels are heavy on action with elements of puzzle solving to make it to the end of the level. But the levels in SIGIL are way more of a labyrinth. Right from the start, you have to find switches to shoot instead of just opening a door. It's just kind of a pain to clear a room of demons and then take a couple of minutes to find out where the hell you need to go. It's not a bad thing, especially once you get into the groove of where to look for these switches. It just slows down the flow of the game compared to the originals that have a smooth progression from fighting to unlocking your path that you need to follow. The other thing I noticed is that there aren't that many enemies, and that's a letdown. It's the 5th episode, right? Thy Flesh Consumed, the 4th Doom episode, has powerful enemies like the Cyber Demon in the 2nd level. Sigil just has most of the basic enemies throughout its entirety. The hardest enemies are at the end, and I ran past them on accident. Of course, there's also the secret level that you can get to by finding a really random eyeball and shooting it and then going through a teleporter. This level feels a lot better than most of them. It has a lot more old school Doom vibe to it, and you actually have to fight a Cyber Demon. So if you find the secret level during your first playthrough, I feel like it will improve your overall experience with Sigil compared to if you just totally skip the secret room altogether. That was very anticlimactic. And trust me when I say I hate saying that. That really bums me out. Don't take it as I'm saying Sigil is a bad game, because I still had a lot of fun inside of Sigil. But anticlimactic kind of describes Sigil perfectly as a whole, because there's just not a lot here. Like there's just not a ton to it, and the levels are super short. The enemies feel limited, even though there are only 10 enemy types in the original Doom. I feel like we never had to fight any heavy hitters throughout Sigil until the very, very end, and then I accidentally ran past them. So that didn't help. And as far as grading Sigil goes, I think I'm going to have to give it a 7 out of 10. Because like I said, it's not a bad game. It's not a bad game at all. I mean, it's still Doom, so it has that solid base with beautiful gameplay, really great controls. It looks amazing, of course, and I really actually enjoyed the lighting effects that John Romero used here. And, I mean, the weapons that you use are classic, so it's still a fun game, but I think I expected a lot more out of Sigil, because there were no moments inside of there where I was like, holy crap, a spider mind is fighting a cyber demon, or any of those classic Doom moments that I had as a child, or any other time that I've been playing Doom. There's always seemed to have been that one moment in each one where you're like, oh my gosh, that cyber demon just ripped open the door and now I have to do like some crazy boss battle with him, or anything like that. It wasn't here. So, I enjoyed Sigil. I had fun with Sigil. But it was a little anticlimactic. And again, I couldn't find anybody to play multiplayer with, and that really sucks, because I would love to try it out, because I'm sure that those levels are great. So, for the price of only having to already own a copy of Doom, it's perfect. I mean, just go, download it, and check it out. And really, it's more Doom. Can't go wrong with more Doom. Well, that wraps up my top 10 video games of all time list. I had a freaking blast creating it, and I hope you all enjoyed it just as much as I did making it. And I want to hear what your guys' top 10 are. Please shout out in the comments. I want to hear what kind of games makes it onto everyone's list. I'm sure I'll see some Zeldas, some Marios, all sorts of fun stuff. That's what's great about games. It's all up to you as to what connects with you the most. And I now have a Patreon page, which is a really great and easy way to help support the show. All you have to do is go to patreon.com, search Sad Game Reviews, just like it is spelt here on YouTube, and you can donate a little or a lot if you're feeling super generous. I would appreciate it. I mean, literally every red penny you guys donate will go to making everything better. So, I appreciate it in advance, and I will see you guys next time.